take out Vintage House Show 2 from the stage.
Yeah. Cool.
I've never had this issue with the tripod mount.
Let's see. It looks. I wonder if this is like unlocked. Do you lock that? Or
it's the mount.
Oh yeah, I see. We just keep it nice and balanced.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah. Cool.
All right, we got 2 people tuned in. It's your main man, Mega. Now we're down to 1. This is another episode of the Vintage House Show. We are looking forward to the arrival of our guest, Elbert Phillips. And we've added a special guest, Mr. Mateo
Savala.
All right, as we go to a music bed background, we are excited and pleased to have our intern with us in studio, as he is every Wednesday night, in fact. But we're bringing them on camera for the live stream. We are happy to have had such a successful semester producing the Vintage House Show because of Mateo Savala. And he is a grad student here at Northwestern University. So Wildcats represent, stand up.
Yeah, you know it.
And I'm gonna stop talking for a moment so that he can actually formally introduce himself, tell us a little bit about the program he's involved in, and why he chose to intern with the premier house show for covering the history, the business, the culture, and of course the music that is house music. So grab a mic, let's get you on air. And
yeah, it should be this one, right? I think I'm on. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So
Mateo,
yeah, I'm Mateo. I've been interning with the Vintage House Show, I guess, since, I don't know, I want to say January, I think. Yeah, I've been, trying to get involved with the radio since I got here. And I saw Lauren was looking for somebody to help out as sort of like a producer sort of thing. And, I'm in this master's program here that's like the sound arts one. And so we do a lot of kind of audio production stuff. And also, I'm not from Chicago, but I've been very interested in like in-house music for a long time, and specifically like kind of like the origins of it. And, like some of like the early like Chicago DJs and producers and stuff was always like the type of music for a long time that's been like really, inspiring me. And I had no real like, I'd never been here before I started going to school here. So
okay,
it's a lot to take in, I don't know.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is the thing, everyone. I want you to embrace Mateo because he didn't know he was going to be on air today. And I'm sensing he's a little nervous. He drops this nugget that he's not from Chicago, but he doesn't tell us, right, where he's from. And part of that, I think, I'm going to stereotype a little bit, is you're Californian.
Yes,
right?
Yes, I am.
Californians are so laid back. What's up, Scott Lee? Thanks for tuning in. So tell us about where in California you grew up?
I'm from like the Bay Area, like San Francisco suburbs, and then I went to school like in the East Bay. Lived in like Berkeley and Oakland for a few years as well.
What radio station was the big radio station for sort of dance or electronic music when you were growing up?
I didn't ever find out about dance or electronic music on the radio. It was through I guess through skateboarding. Skate videos was what like made me find out about like house and stuff specifically.
House music in the skateboard community. I think this is the first that we've had that connection drawn here on the Vintage House Show.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was like, I'm not sure what it was, but I feel like, around maybe like 2015 or something, a lot of skaters in California or in other places too, started like using it a lot in skate videos, and it was like pretty. I don't know. I think before that I had like a conception of dance music that maybe was a lot more, like EDM and that whole kind of thing, and I wasn't really into it. But I liked like I don't know. I like the sound of like a lot of the tracks that I was hearing in these videos. Like I think there's like a video I watched that had like an Armando track in it, and that what I mean. And so I heard that and it like blew my mind. Yeah,
I'm glad you name dropped Armando. He's a certainly pioneering figure. Armando, if you're listening, we have been working to try to get you on air on our show. And for folks listening and tuned in, if you happen to holler at Armando, please let him know we're trying to get him on. I want to go back to the fact that you grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland. There's a guy who spent a lot of time somewhere between either here or Boston, where I spent some time.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Hosh Gorelli.
Mm.
Hosh Gorelli was a pretty damn good DJ and a contributor to this community. I want to say, and I'm getting old, y'all, but of course, if you're tuned in and you have the facts, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments. But he was a big record pool guy. Have you heard of
Yeah.
record pools, right? So you have this collective of DJs, and labels would service them with records. Primarily, it used to be vinyl. Of course, now it's digital. But shout out to Hosh Gorelli as one of those pioneering guys who particularly did some damage in bringing good dance music to the Bay Area in San Francisco.
Cool.
And I can't remember again whether his roots were in Boston and or Chicago, but he certainly had some Chicago house influence. So continue with the Mateo story.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I don't know. I think I guess I'm trying to think of more, about like Chicago house influence in, California. Obviously it's like very far away, and there's a lot of I don't know. I think for the Bay Area, I don't know if there's like a specific, like house sound or anything, but there are a lot of people. I think it's like becoming kind of like more like appreciated, like the Chicago house sound, and like a lot of the DJs and stuff from out here. Like there's this label out of LA that I don't know if you're familiar. It's like LA Club Resource, but
I'm not.
School
me.
Yeah, no, I mean that's I think that like a lot of people that I know are like really into the stuff that they're putting out, and they were like putting out a lot of stuff from like kind of legendary Chicago producers. Like they put out some like unreleased Gene Hunt tracks, and I think they also put out like some old like Paul Johnson stuff, and like Nick Nonstop maybe I think has like a track on there, and like I don't know, it's a lot of like Chicago names, and so it's like people I think through that label, or at least a lot of people that I know through that label, kind of that's like was the doorway in, and that was like a California based label, and then people find out about all the kind of Chicago stuff.
I love it because often it's difficult to explain how house has seeped into various regional psyches in terms of its adoption. And you know, certainly, I'm sure in a lot of markets, it starts off underground, and then there's something that brings it to the surface, like a regional label.
Yeah, definitely.
As an example. So we try to help connect those dots here on the Vintage House Show. And I appreciate you sharing that. And hopefully Nick Nonstop and Gene Hunt appreciate the call out as well. I know I think Gene just celebrated, there was some milestone. But Gene is a friend of the Vintage House Show.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
And,
a lot of respect, for that guy. I'm a huge fan of his music.
Same. He's a great guy. Grew up on Chicago's West Side and has been here on an occasion or two to tell his story, as well as in some of the seminars we've hosted and symposiums. So you had that regional Bay Area, San Francisco connection. Undergrad, were you here at Northwestern or?
No, I was going to Berkeley.
Berkeley?
Yeah.
Tell us about any connection, Berkeley campus to house music.
Yeah, I guess actually, I mean, this is kind of another like weird, connection, sort of. That's like, I was kind of like finding out about a lot of this stuff, and like as I'm sure you're aware, people from like Europe and like London and stuff like that, like they all love, dance music, and I became friends with like a guy from London who was doing like an exchange program at like a party, and I was like playing some I don't remember what I was playing, but he was like, oh, he got super hyped. He was like, oh, there's not a lot of people out here that listen to this type of music, and he was really into a lot of like the like Detroit techno, like early Detroit stuff, and like some Chicago stuff as well. And he kind of put me on, to just like a bunch more, just like tracks and DJs I'd never heard of. And so that was kind of cool. There was like a small scene of people like at my school, who were like doing, who were like DJing and like playing parties, but it wasn't really like that much going on, at least like around campus.
No,
I don't know. No. But there's like events always, in Oakland, San Francisco and stuff, but
Yeah, well, what is the proximity of Berkeley to that area? Is it
It's drivable, but a lot of people weren't driving, and so we would be like taking the train in. But it would be kind of like, it's definitely like prohibitively expensive if you're a college student, because the train would close like I don't even know what time the L closes here, but at least at that time in San Francisco, closing at 12:30, and so you can't be out.
Lines close down.
Yeah, and so we couldn't be out like late, and so if you want to get home, you'd either have to like know someone with a car who was like down to be, like a designated driver type, which was like pretty rare. And then
as a college undergrad, I appreciate you calling out Detroit techno being an influence. In fact, this past weekend in Detroit, one of their big festivals, the Movement, was held, and another friend of the show, at least one, got to play there. I got to see her literally when she was about to hit the road, and that's DJ Lady D. So she was pretty hyped about getting there. And,
definitely.
Performing another year at Movement. So shout out to Lady D, who will be joining me in July for our Chosen Few Festival recap. I don't know. Are you staying over the summer?
I'm gonna be here, so I gotta come check it out.
He'll be likely producing that show as well. Shout out to our executive producer Lauren Lowry, who's been in and out of the studio, and the entire Vintage House Show family. Certainly want to send hugs and love to our DJ Lori Branch, our co-host of the show, who had a major loss in her family, and so we're sending our prayers of uplift to her.
Definitely.
So we also promoted tonight that Elbert Phillips, DJ Elbert Phillips, would be joining us on the show, and we're still anticipating his arrival. So for those of you who tune in for the Elbert Phillips interview, stay tuned. Stay tuned and buckle up. In the meantime, we're talking to our amazing spring 2025 quarter/semester intern, Mateo
Savala. It's good. It takes practice.
By the time the show ends, I will have the pronunciation of his name down pat. But he is a master's student. Tell us about what you're studying. So here at Northwestern, since you've taken us through your time at Berkeley.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's a quick program. It's only 1 year, but we're doing a lot of. It's like audio in many forms. You know, it's a lot of sound for like film. You know, and like studio based like stuff. So that's like recording. You know, sound effects and music and like mixing and mastering things. You know,
can get a master's degree in that.
Yeah, because it goes. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I don't know, Northwestern. I mean, you've seen the studio in here. It's crazy.
The facilities are they're pretty well endowed here at Northwestern.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's cool to like have access to all sorts of that stuff and to have, I guess, like guidance in like a lot of this things, because a lot of it is like kind of, you know, you can teach yourself a lot, but sometimes it's like really helpful to be able to, you know, learn how to use some like studio level gear, and like, yeah, a lot of it, you know, I wouldn't have access to without Northwestern. So it's cool. It's like a foot in the door sort of thing, maybe.
So we're on Northwestern's radio station, so of course it is it's apropos, right, to talk about Northwestern as an institution of higher learning, in particular as it relates to the opportunity to get a master's degree in the craft of audio. What's the actual program called?
It's Sound Arts and Industries.
Sound Arts and Industries.
Yeah.
All right. So those aspiring to add that Northwestern credential to your resume, in addition to all the other great credentials those of you out there listening may have, check out the program. A shining example of the students that Northwestern is producing here. And certainly our hope is that one day we can teach a house music history class here at Northwestern or some other fine institution.
Yeah.
In that it is an important history, and the interviews we host here help contribute significantly to building a narrative, right? We're not saying it's the narrative of house music, but it is one of significant authority. This is our 10th year on air on WNUR as the Vintage House Show, and we'll continue to collect the first-person narratives of people like Mateo, Elbert Phillips, the Scott Lees of the world. We got to get you in, Scott, to tell a little bit of your story. Certainly, we like telling our story on occasion. World's first house music publicist, yours truly, on the mic now, translating to a co-hosting role. I've only been with the Vintage House Show now for 5 years. It'll be 5 years in 7 years. So
ooh, nice.
7. It was 2018, September 2018, where I officially joined the show. I would have also DJ'd a little for you all tonight, but that's coming up. So continue to tune in to the Vintage House Show every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Back to Mateo, we got to the program that he's in here at Northwestern. Tell us about what you plan to do with that degree.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I first came here, I was like really interested in doing, sound for film and kind of like post-production stuff. Which I'm still definitely into. Like, we're doing a lot of collaboration with the people in the documentary media program.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm kind of hoping to like continue, I guess, with some of that, and do a lot of like sound mixing for various like film and video projects, as well as like for music too. But I don't know. I think I guess some of that as well. And then also I do like podcast editing and stuff, and it would be cool to not have to freelance like forever. But I'm kind of I don't know. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out if I want to aim for maybe like a more like stable sort of thing right now, or if I don't know, because I'm kind of liking the flexibility of like doing a bunch of different things as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's relatable to a lot of our audience members who may have that corporate 9 to 5 versus being able to set their own schedules, right? It's a balancing act, and creative industries in general have that challenge.
For sure.
But, I'm sure there's some regular full-time gigs. I'm assuming you're probably heading back to California after your program, but you don't want to assume.
I don't know. I'm still, I mean, because I don't end at the same time as the rest of the Northwestern. We go through the summer. So okay. I got still a little bit of time to figure it out, but I've been going back and forth. All my family's in California, and I got a lot of friends out there too. And I really like Chicago though, and I'm already here, so I'm like, I don't know. I think like in terms of like music and stuff, I'm like really excited about what's going on here, more so probably than like what's going on in California. Not to disrespect California, but you know what I mean? Like it's cool. There's so much that I'm still finding out about happening in Chicago. So
all right, so everybody tuned in right now, including DJ Purple. Reginald Davenport just joined us. We need you to chime in and drop in the comment section your encouragement for Mateo to stay in the Chicago community. You may have heard us. I think there was an episode with DJ Cliff Towns and Scoop Jackson. And much like a global football match, i.e. soccer, we started our own chant for Mateo. So I need Cliff and Scoop back in studio to chant for Mateo. But no, he again has been a great production intern for us. We're excited because whatever you end up doing, we can say we knew him when. He was actually our intern, when we see your name in the credits on some of those upcoming blockbuster films.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll have to give you guys a special thanks. It's been awesome. Like, coming in and helping out, and it's cool. Just like for all these shows, I'm just sitting over there to the side, like just listening. And it's I don't know. It's really crazy. I guess what's kind of cool. It's like, and about this show and like what you guys are doing is it's like. Like if you really think about it, like house didn't really like, it wasn't invented until, relatively recently. So all the originators and everyone who was, there for the Genesis is still here. So it's cool to be able to like hear, I guess, firsthand accounts of, a time that's like, I think for a lot of people, like that I know, I don't know. It's sort of like a legendary kind of scene time period.
You're in the midst. I mean, the great news is that we have many pioneering figures still making history, still impacting the community and the culture.
True.
and the business. Unfortunately, we've also lost some of our pioneering figures. That I know you mentioned someone like Paul Johnson, who contributed tremendously with his work and creativity, and there's many others. In fact, our scheduled guest Elbert Phillips, part of his history has to do with him opening up for the legendary Frankie Knuckles from the Warehouse days, and so we're anticipating him sharing some of the stories of what it was like to open and warm up the dance floor. So he's en route. He's waiting for the purple line, I think. And we're anxiously awaiting his arrival. So again, for those of you tuned in, including our super duper executive producer, Lauren Lowry.
Hey, Lauren.
in. Reggie Davenport, i.e. DJ Purple, says there's no place like Chicago in terms of music. Maybe London.
Yeah.
Which is his second home.
Oh, cool.
The renewed energy here is
right I feel it. It's cool. I'm excited for the summer. I don't know. It seems like there's just like a lot going on, and I mean, still there's like, as you said, there's so many amazing DJs and artists based in Chicago doing like really interesting new stuff, and so I'm just like happy to like soak it in, be around it.
We're definitely appreciative of having you around. Besides the studio and of course your coursework, do you get a chance to go out to Chicago nightlife at all?
I haven't been too much recently. I've just been school has been really crazy, and I'm kind of like in the depths of, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Well, trying to stay afloat, but I think this summer, like basically like 2 weeks from now, I'm having like the quarter ends, and then the summer I'll be working on like a thesis project and doing some independent studies. So I'll be able to sorry. I'll be able to get out a little bit more, and it's cool. Like Ashley, DJ Mo Mommy, she's been telling me about like different parties and stuff happening. So
she gigs out there a lot, and it continues to build a great audience. So that's
definitely
it's a good connect. Our vintage show spotlight host DJ Mo Mommy, and then we've got the spotlight after show hosted by DJ Rocky Floyd. Shout out to them both for being so consistent and contributing to this franchise we call the Vintage House Show. And Lori, and I are grateful for them as well. And so for those of you who may not have had a chance to tune into the Spotlight or the Vintage House Show after show, please check out Momami and DJ Rocky Floyd. Yeah. So I think I plugged us very well tonight. Certainly what we are still anticipating is the arrival of our featured guest, DJ Elbert Phillips. But in the meantime, some of what's happening this summer include a host of events, and something coming up on June 10th, which is a Tuesday night, the night before another episode of the Vintage House Show airs. The Design Museum of Chicago is hosting an event at Seacrest Gallery, and yours truly, along with DJ Lori Branch, will be running some tunes extraordinaire in support of that event. So make sure you check out the Design Museum of Chicago website for more details. Also coming up the annual global event this summer for house music. The Chosen Few Festival is coming up on July 12th, 2025 in Jackson Park, right adjacent to the Obama Presidential Center. Get your tickets at chosenfewdjs.com for that. There's so much summertime shy coming up. So if there are events that you want to ensure the house music community is in tune with, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and we'll be sure to share with those streaming the show, as well as those listening to us on air on WNUR 89.3 FM in HD1 here in Evanston, Chicago. It's your main man, Mega. I'm in studio with Mateo Salvella.
Savala. You're getting there. It's closer and closer every time.
Told you by the end of the show, we will have it down pat. And Mateo is, sharing with us his love and appreciation for Chicago's music scene and the music community. Drop him some love in the comments if you're streaming the show, or feel free to give us a call in studio at 847-866-WNUR. That's 847-866-9687. And we'll be sure to share your comments with Mateo. Of course, all peace and love comments for this gentleman.
Yeah.
We are, again, appreciative of all of you tuned in. DJ Purple says that the Chicago House Music Festival and Conference at the Chicago Cultural Center and in Millennium Park is scheduled once again for this year. This time it's been pushed out to August. So we'll get a lot of other festivals in and be ready and revved up for the Deep Case Chicago House Music Festival. Shout out to my man David Chavez, who actually leads the programming of that with members of the house music community. So stay tuned for more details about the lineup and the programming coming up for the Chicago House Music Festival and Conference. Brought to you by the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. And that is in August of this summer. I am thrilled again to be here in studio and on air with our production intern, Mateo Salvella.
Nice.
Savala.
Yeah, Savala.
Savalas. You guys remember?
Exactly. Yeah, just without the
right.
last S at the end. You know.
Savala. I got it.
Yeah.
All right. But yes. So when you leave the studio every Wednesday, I'm assuming you go home and do some homework. What does that look like exactly?
Yeah.
Homework for this sound arts program.
It's a lot of, I guess, like larger scale projects. Like right now, I'm doing like a lot of like sound mixing and sound design for a friend, which is, I guess, also serving as my homework assignments, but for my friend who's in the documentary media program. And then we have like mixing assignments and stuff as well, like I don't know, like one of a professor might give us a bunch of stems of a track or something, and we have to make sure everything's all nice, cool, and balanced and sounds right, and stuff like that.
All right, we gotta get our audience can get technical with us, so go ahead and talk to us about some of the software you use.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of stuff for school. We use Pro Tools, and so it's I mean, we can also use Ableton a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Ableton, but Pro Tools is, a bit more maybe like industry or like professional, it seems like. Or I don't know. That's what they got on the computers here in the studio.
A lot of the opinions I get, right, is that you can do a lot with Ableton, but the interface, it requires a little more effort.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that a fair assessment from your perspective?
I think Ableton maybe is better. I mean, this is like a huge generalization, but maybe Ableton's better for like making music, and then Pro Tools maybe is better for like mixing or mastering sort of thing. Or, if you're doing sound for film, I prefer to work in Pro Tools. But when I record like my own music, I record it to cassette. I go old school. I don't even like to use a computer if I don't have to.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've got a cassette deck in your apartment or dorm room?
Yeah, my apartment. Yeah, I just got it's like a little like 4-track.
For a Tascam.
Yeah,
something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, you've got that's a classic.
Yeah, it's a you can do a lot with those machines. They got a nice sound to them, and I guess like it's nice to be able to. It's very immediate, You get like a drum machine and plug it into that thing and just go.
Do your mix down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always like the cleanest sound, but if you know what you're doing, you can make it sound pretty nice.
Yeah, I had one, and I swear I don't know. It's probably in a storage bin somewhere in my basement. I think I'm inspired to go dig that out.
Yeah, you should. We need to hear the old mega tracks.
So I've only created one remix, if you will, of a song that was originally written and produced by a couple of guys, Terry Hunter and Aaron Smith. They called themselves at that time UBQ Productions.
Yeah.
And they had a song called When I Fell in Love, featuring a vocalist by the name of Kathy Summers. And I was on the A side of the first mix. It's called the Megadelic mix. And
that's awesome. Yeah.
It was a bumping track in the European nightclubs.
Okay.
But, it had a little extra energy, I think, for the more soulful Chicago sound. And so it did well in Europe. And that was executive produced by DJ Gary Wallace. Shout out to my man Gary. And distributed by my family in the house music industry, an organization called Mirage Entertainment. In fact, I want to plug that one of the Mirage Entertainment executives, Rick Lenore, will be our guest on our June 25th show. So mark your calendars for DJ and remixer, producer, and former label exec, Rick Lenore. He'll be here on June 25th as my guest. So Reggie, DJ Purple is amazed that you said cassette. Much like vinyl, there seems to be a renewed interest in cassettes again, and you just help validate that.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people are into. I don't know. I think it's like it's nice sometimes to have like a piece of music on like on a physical thing. I think obviously there's conveniences, of course, to digital. You can have thousands of tracks on a USB or something.
Wait.
More than that, maybe.
So you're acknowledging that, but this is the man who does not own a USB stick. I asked him at the beginning of this show.
Yeah, I do have a hard drive.
You got a solid state drive.
Yeah,
it's probably USB connected, but it's not.
Definitely, but I'm not really like I'm not out like spinning at parties and stuff. I have
your mix, the work that you do, your homework, it's got to be portable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just use my like solid state drive or whatever for that, or it just stays on my laptop.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am trying to learn how to mix, but I got a few. I guess I'm trying to learn on with records just because I don't know. It seems like a bit more of a challenge. I've came here and spun a couple times, but I'm not that good. So
I was gonna say we've got plenty of decks here at the WNUR studio. I'll bring a case of vinyl on the 25th of June, and we'll see.
Put me to the test. Yeah,
I'll bring vinyl, and I'll bring some needles.
Cool.
We'll have a session. We'll run a few tunes. The number of cassettes on my demo mixes from the 90s is kind of insane, says DJ Purple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta hear some of this.
You got, so there's an invitation, Reggie. You got to share some of that work, man. Definitely, you can check out DJ Purple on WLUW. He's got a show there, and another friend of the Vintage House Show. He's been on sharing his story, his time abroad, and his work as a DJ. So thank you, Reggie, for tuning in and sharing your story with us. What do you see as the future of music, particularly, Mateo, as it relates to generative AI, agentic AI, these tools?
I don't know. I am probably pretty anti AI, I think. But
why would
I don't know. I guess I don't trust it. I don't really understand it. And I don't.
That's fair. Many people are in that.
Yeah. I mean, although I'm sure there are like cool ways to use it creatively or whatever, but I don't know. I guess I like human imperfections or something like that, and I guess I don't know. I have yet to hear like some AI music that I really like. So
there you go.
I don't know. Maybe one day there'll be an AI that makes like awesome, like I don't know, super good tracks. But
look, you're not gonna get in any trouble here. It's the Vintage House Show, and it's about truth telling and certainly opinions, and those all count. But I share your opinion.
Yeah, cool.
I'm sure many of our audience shares the opinion. You can't create something that, particularly in this genre of house music that touches and grabs at your soul, right? How is AI ever going to produce something that does that achieves that kind of impact? Maybe you can create a song that has a little dance floor flair, but it's not going to reach in and touch people like the house music that our folks
for sure
create from their imaginations, from their power of creativity, from their ability to know and experience the human spirit. You can't do it, but there are going to be those who try.
For sure, I know. I think it's like one of those things, too, where it's like so much of the music that I really like, I think was like kind of, birthed maybe out of people kind of like experimenting in some ways, like like get like a drum machine or a synth or something and just go crazy with it and do something that you're not supposed to, like like that's the whole, I guess, like thing with like acid and like using
TB303 and those devices.
Exactly. It's like they maybe weren't like designed to be used in that way. Like I don't know if I see AI breaking rules to make something that's like cool like that,
Well, yes, I agree with that, and part of the rationale behind that is that what AI is driven by essentially is machine learning, or computer systems taking large data sets and trying to identify the patterns,
Yeah.
right, from those data sets. And those data sets can be musical notes or, completed tracks or what have you. And ultimately trying to create patterns that somehow emulate or mimic what the data has shown reflects a track or reflects elements of popular tracks.
Yeah.
It's that it's a machination. It's a machine generated output, and we know music and art, all of that is essentially our humanity expressed.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think I share the opinion that at least don't anticipate that there's enough data out there today.
Yeah.
For an AI engine of any kind to be able to replicate that level of output and creativity.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. But who knows? I don't know. It's people are gonna try to use it though, I think, to do something like that.
Well, and you bring up a good point about experimentation.
Yeah.
Certainly, I would say part of the house music origin story in terms of the records that were produced in 1984. We just celebrated at least the 40th anniversary of the first Chicago generated or produced house records. Generated is not the right term, but produced music. We actually were privileged by those songs and tracks because folks like Shippy and Jesse Saunders and Farley and Steve Hurley and others experimented.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And Larry Hurd and Bill Lewis and a host of these innovative Chicagoans. They use these devices and they experimented and they recognized that what they were creating had some commercial as well as dance floor appeal.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, let's put it on vinyl. Let's get it out there. And, to the credit of many DJs that are still with us today, among them our anticipated guest, Elbert Phillips, and others, they played these songs and they educated dance floors. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, totally. No, definitely. I mean, it's I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I guess it is interesting, like in the wake or whatever of all the, sort of AI, and it's like it's easier. Yeah, of all this like very digital whatever kind of stuff, there is a bit of like a resurgence, I think, as like DJ Purple was saying, like with vinyl and cassette. So it's kind of cool. I think there's a lot of people recognizing maybe like what the AI or the digital sort of thing like lacks, and then trying to go back to basics, back to the roots of everything.
Yeah, no, it's certainly driving the creators to the elements that make things back to the purest form of the craft.
Yeah.
And certainly there are a lot of people, and I applaud you for trying to learn how to DJ first on vinyl before necessarily adopting digital formats. Vinyl, you talked earlier about the tactile nature of things, like having cassettes, vinyl records and turntables
Yeah.
offer that. Now, there are both MIDI interfaces that allow you to
That's
still
true.
have digital and the tactile feel of vinyl, but ultimately, there's nothing like trying to control the pitch and match the beats of two vinyl records.
Yeah.
It's a sensational feeling.
Definitely. I think, trying to learn on my, it's like, because I didn't really have much before I got into, house and all this stuff. I didn't really understand, I think, what DJs were doing until I my friend was mixing vinyl, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this. I was, of course, like, it humbles you so quickly. You're like, oh, okay, like this is crazy. And then you watch, like real master DJs doing their thing, mixing, like 3 vinyl at a time, doing all sorts of tricks and like, I don't know, crazy blends, but like
craft,
editing,
man.
it really is. So
I am grateful that
how you doing?
I got to watch some DJ heroes of mine and study what they're doing. You can't always make the exact connection of what's happening until you try it. So we are tuned into the Vintage House Show, rounding out the show here at the top of the hour at 11:01 here on WNUR 89.3 FM and HD1 Evanston, Chicago. For those who tuned in to hear DJ Elbert Phillips, we will get a supplemental show in with Elbert so that you can hear his story firsthand. But we're very thankful to have had Mateo Salbala.
The emergency guest.
But a guest that we had to celebrate today, as he's going to be finishing up his semester here at least the summer. Spring-summer semester. And he'll be with us till December?
No, till August at least. Maybe August, longer. Okay. We'll see. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate all you guys. It's been awesome so far. I'm definitely excited to keep it going.
Well,
keep helping out.
We want to thank Mateo as well as all of our past interns. There's been a host of them, from Justin to Chloe. On
shout out Malik. I met Malik. He's not, I don't think he's here, but I met him recently through Lauren. He's still around.
We appreciate you all and hope that you do take away from your time with us on the Vintage House Show that access to history and impact on this genre. So don't forget us when you are accepting those awards in Hollywood or wherever your flowers are received. And please, everyone tuned in, always mark your calendars, set your timers for Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Central for the Vintage House Show, streaming on twitch.tv, Facebook Live, YouTube as the Vintage House Show. It's your main man, Mega. I've been honored to host tonight's episode with Mateo Salvala.
Yes.
There it is. And we'll be back. I'll be back in June. My colleagues will be back also next Wednesday, which will be June, for another edition of the Vintage House Show. So up next, coming, there he is. DJ Scumbag.
Yeah.
DJ Scumbag. Shout out to the Vintage House Show audience. DJ Scumbag is up next, continuing Street Beat here on WNUR. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be safe. Have a wonderful upcoming summer. I promise you. even though I don't do weather on the Vintage House Show, it will get warm in Chicago. I promise. Because
Almost there.
Shy, there's nothing like it. Thanks for tuning in again, Jermaine Man Mega. I am off the air and leaving you in the hands of DJ Scumbag.
Sick. Oh, I can't. Let's see.
I got that soundboard one up. Yeah, it should be perfect. you haven't started yet. I'll bring it down.
I think we're still live.
Yeah. You're watching behind the scenes BTS edition of the Vintage House Show. And again, for those of you who may have missed the announcement, we're going to be doing a supplemental show where I get to interview Elbert Phillips. Due to technical difficulties, he wasn't able to join us on air tonight. So we'll get him on, but we were pleased to have our production intern, Mateo. Let's go. DJ Scumbag on the ones and twos. Thanks. We're out.